What up brothers, it's Clipper King returning. Welcome back to my channel for a video that's a little bit different. It's not a straight up review, it's simply a comparison on both the Batman figures that have been released from the Michael Keaton Tim Burton films. As you see, on the left is the original Batman from '89 and on the right is the Batman Returns figure. Both really nice figures, but just for a bit of fun I'm going to break it down to the most simplest of categories, such as the cowl, the eyes, the face plates, the outfit, the body, everything. I'm going to tell you which I prefer on both and why. I've also started a thread on my Facebook group, the 1/6 Scale Views and Reviews group, just asking if there's anything by chance I don't cover, what would you like to know? I will answer all those and give the name checks to the guys who have asked, so that will be at the back end of this video. I will also mention at first that they're both wearing the stock capes, and you're possibly wondering why they both look the same height, because on other pictures they don't. It's simply because the original Batman boots or ankle pegs are not pushed right into his boot. So I've always left it like that because I think he's a little bit short when you push his ankle joints right in, even when you compare him to the Joker from this film. So I've always done that, but I am going to come back to that when I mention the body, because it will be a point I want to make. So, as you can see, I've not got the boxes set up, but the first category I'm going to talk about is the packaging. I'm going to make it really simple. The original one was a DX figure. The latest one is just an MMS figure. I do like both boxes, but it's the DX box that with a little touch of class, so to speak. The foam inlays, the wrap round magnet-sided box with the monochrome sort of front design. I always liked the DX boxes. They just looked like not expensive, don't look expensive, but they look like the figure that it's housing is expensive. So I've always liked that about it. So it would be quite an easy one to compare the two. I would go for the original Batman figure on the packaging, and that would be quite a simple decision as well. Right guys, first real category, something we can talk about while we're looking, and it's going to be the cowl. I'm pretty much going to make my way down through the figure, tell you my total thoughts. So, the cowl, let's look at the original Batman first. As you see, it has much softer lines than the other one. It's got more a rounded look to the ears, if that's what you want to call them, even a smoother down through the scowl and into the cheek, and then you see down towards the badge. Give you a good look around it. So yeah, both are accurate, I will say that, to the films, and I have checked the Batman Returns again recently to make sure that one is. I think it is. It's a lot more pointed, a lot straighter lines. As you can see, the two together, we get sort of a more rounded off, open and close. So on this one, you get the sort of straight up and down. Even the ears look really pointed on this, down to the tip of the nose, really pointed, and the scowl is a lot sharper. Just looking around, both have the nice thick neck. Do keep the proportions really good on both of them, and they do both give off a really good appearance that there is a face underneath, so to speak. So it's not, I don't know, you can see where the face plates sort of sink into the mask, and that's good on both. My preference, if I'm honest, on the cowl would go to the Batman Returns figure. I think it's a lot more dominant, a lot more intense. I do like how it works. Another point I'd like to make is the seam work, where the cutaway is on both. If I show you the Returns and the original, even if you come forward on the original, the seam was always quite noticeable, whereas on the newer one it's not as noticeable. So I do prefer that for the reason. So all in all, yeah, just the shape of the cowl and sort of the more intense look, I actually prefer the Returns version. I will say as well, if you watch either one of these films, I think Hot Toys have done a better job on the cowl than they actually did making the original costume, because you watch it, and a lot of times as his face is moving inside it, he's leaving massive gaps downside at cowl, and it just doesn't look good. And like I said, that were on both films. So I think Octos have done a really good job, but my preference would be the Batman Returns for the Cowl. Right, moving on. I'm going to talk faceplates. I'll just show you that both do have the most relaxed faceplate on. You can see there. And there. And then I've also laid out the faceplates that they also bring. Both bring 3 in total, which is a nice selection. So you would think, but let me move in and explain what I think. I said in the review, I actually still prefer the likeness on this one, and that is the case. And the more I look at them both together, I still agree with what I've said. I know some people say they see the likeness better in the new one. If that's the case, good luck to them. I just don't. I'll show you around nice and close. I'm not saying either are bad, because I don't think either are bad, but I just think not only is everyone more realistic and accurate to me on the original Batman, I think the fact that they give you the varied choices, and by that, if I show you, you've got the neutral looking one, looking down, you've got sort of one that's blooded up with a mouth a lot more open, and then you've got what I call the dumb fuck look. It's got a very, I don't know what's the word for it. He's got a certain expression. He's kind of got pouty lips, and he's got very pronounced sort of these lines sort of here and on the outer part of his mouth. I can't think what they're called, but yeah, it's definitely notable. Even when he's not Batman, I watched him in Jackie Brown the other day, and it's same. He makes these goofy looking expressions, and I think the original version caught it better than the newer version does. Also, a nitpick with the newer version is these two are just a little bit too similar to me, and I think what they've basically tried to do is exchange that one for that one, as you can see, and then that one instead of the blooded one. But when you take away the blood off that, you've pretty much got the same mouth. So it's, I don't know. And whichever plate I swap in or out, I always find that when I look at him and think Michael Keaton is under that mask, I always go back to the 89 version. And that is where I stand. Like I say, if others see it better in that, like that one is not a bad faceplate. I just wish the shadowing in the mouth were just a little bit stronger. They look a little bit too neutral for me. I hope I'm clear that up, but like I say, it's hard to say. I do prefer that cowl, but I prefer them faceplates. It's weird. Another thing I guess I'm going to be asked is, are they interchangeable? They're not interchangeable. There's not much difference in the shape of them, but it's more down to the fact that these are a lot flatter and have the magnet on the back, where these actually push nearly all the way through the mask. So if you look at the depth on the different ones, you can't swap them in. I have actually tried, but if you try to put one of those faceplates into that, it just looks loose and it's constantly falling forward and leaves quite a big gap just above the upper lip. So yeah, they're not interchangeable. Somebody would probably be able to customize them and do it. I'm thinking Robbie the Painter or somebody like that. But as it stands, stock out the box, they're not interchangeable faceplates. Next thing I want to talk about is the eyes. So we're still talking about the likeness really, but I'm breaking it down to every little category that I can. Right, just to explain, it both pretty much works the same. There's a flap on the back of the head, like I've showed you, there's sort of cutaway that you can see above. Same on that one. Like I said, it's a lot cleaner joint on the Returns version. Inside there's control for the eyes, and on this version there's also a push through where you knock out the mouth plate. This one uses PERS, which is the parallel eye rolling system, which is just a singular joystick that moves both eyes together. Now, PERS is a good thing as long as it's moving smoothly and it's been freshly calibrated. And by that I mean, I've seen some figures where fresh out the box they just don't seem to line up right. That one of the one of the pupils is slightly wrong. So you put it in a certain position and it either looks slightly cockeyed or wall-eyed or whatever. So the Purs, you're pretty much stuck with how they do it. If you receive a bad one, you've got a fucking bad one. You've got a chance to send it back. But other than that, you're always going to notice them eyes are odd. Luckily on my Batman, you can see the eyes are pretty much spot on and do move smoothly. Another problem with Purs is the fact that I've had figures before and the Purs has broke. My Michael Jackson bad figure. I actually sold it now, but I did sold it as broke. The eyes would still move in the back because once the Purs joystick snapped off, what you're pretty much left with is how this one comes out the factory, where each eye has a single stem like the Hulk and like Entebbe used to do. So you can't really, it's never not calibrated because it's all down to where you pose it. And as you can see, I've got my eyes posed, so you're looking at it sort of from there. So, I mean, I can make it cockeyed if I want. I can make it look like a fucking salamander and put his eyes both out to the side. But like I said, on this figure, it's pretty much down to you. Whereas the fact I looked out with a Purs system on the original one, my eyes are good. So, on how it works, I actually prefer the Batman Returns. On how it looks, I actually prefer the original Batman. Like I said, I think the paintwork around them is just that little bit, a little bit more natural looking. Again, it really lends well to show that Michael Keaton is underneath the mask. They just give a really, really good look inside the eyes. Trying to get the lighting in. Yeah, so like I say, trying to make my points clear and precise. So what I'm saying is, I prefer the look of the eyes on this one, but I prefer how the eyes work on this one. Next thing I'd like to talk about is the badge, or the emblem, or whatever you want to call it, symbol. I think both are accurate as to what I can remember, and both sit pretty much in an identical place on the chest and do work the same on both figures, pretty much just attached to the lower part of the cowl and then sort of floats above the rubber bodysuit. Just show you both and just quickly tell you, pretty simple. I think most people would agree. I think the emblem is more of a throwback to the older style Batman and more to the comic version of Batman on the Batman Returns, and I would say that is the one that I prefer as well. Moving on to the capes, probably one of the most interesting points of this figure because it does take up a lot of the surface area of the figure when you've got it posed and you're looking at it. Sometimes it can be a pain in the arse to do. Sometimes you get this feeling of why the fuck did they do it like that? But I don't know. Let's talk about them. Both are wearing the stock capes, so bear in mind I've had this figure a few years, so I have posed this cape a lot of times. How it works is it's a faux leather on the outer, a satin layer inside, so it is 2-ply, moving down round all the way down the front, and then all around the edging is a fine wire. What you've got to do basically to get it to sit flush is just fold the wire back and forth on itself, or just squash it all together and hope it drapes nicely. Sometimes I don't understand why they put the inner layer, the satin, because you don't really see it. Because I think the material on the outer part is really, really nice, and had it not had the second ply, then I think it would also drape and hang correctly. But I don't know, it is what it is. The new cape is sort of a thicker feeling pleather, but it's only single ply, so there's no satin on the inside. Now it looks accurate to the cape in the outfit, but this style of material never drapes correctly. To get it even like that, slightly close into his body, you basically gotta get the cape, take it off the figure, put it in your hand and sort of wring it out like a flannel just to get some folds through the cape. So that's what you get. On this one, just to tell you, you actually get some wires, but it doesn't work same as on the first version. You have a wire spine running down there, and then on the spine, just on back of his shoulder, a spine going down there, and then again one going down the back of his shoulder. You can see that's why that's pulling away, so you've got to then start folding and pushing that cape around to get it to get close to the body. Now both, I think you would be wise to treat yourself for sort of, because of the scale or how it drapes on him, you're better off going to Tony May and picking up a Tony May cape. Now, as I showed in the review, this is for my 89 Batman. So because of how the cowl sits, the sort of the distance between there and there and there and there, this cape doesn't really work with this figure, but he is making one for this figure. I would always, like I said, for ease of use and for sort of the better scale and the drape, I would go for a Tony May cape. But since we're talking about the stock capes, what I'm going to say is, out of the box, I prefer this one. Fair enough, I've worked it a lot, I've banged it up a lot, I've got the folds sort of how I like them to get them close to the body. Sometimes I do tuck it into the arms to sort of take the poofy look out in it. On this one, I still need to work with it a little bit more. It's not bad by any stretch, and some people have got some really nice poses out of it, but I don't know, it just doesn't seem to drape right. It might be something I'm doing wrong, but that is just the case. So as on the stock capes, I would still prefer the original Batman over the Batman Returns, although I can't say enough that both capes do look accurate to the film. Holy bat belts. Let's move on to the bat belt. I've got to say, this is pretty much a flick a coin up and then pick the one you like. There's nothing much in it. They're very, very similar. They both have the magnet to the right hand side of the belt, which will hold various accessories. If I show you the sort of the buckle design, it's very similar. The colour is slightly different on the newer one, and I will say that the detail on the buckle is a little bit more pronounced. It's like an old digital version compared to an HD version. Again, magnet off to the right hand side. Very little to choose. If I had to lean one way or the other, I would probably go with the Batman Returns version. Moving on to the outfit, and I'm mainly talking about the rubber section, so pretty much the bodysuit on both. Right, let's try and make this clear. I'll just show you both. The original version has sort of the muscular physique sort of moulded into it. It is still squidgy and clearly rubber. It's held up really well over time because I have posed it. Same on the arms, although the arms are quite bulky, I will say. Moving down through the legs, again, the muscular design with the kneecap moving down into the boot. And then if I show you the new one before I tell you my thoughts first, this one's got a lot more, I don't know, like cleaner lines, a more engineered look about it. So like the more like vents than abs, sort of really obvious lines under the pecs. Same going down from the side of the codpiece, down through the leg. It sort of tracks the quadricep lines, but it is very clean, definite lines. Moving down to the diamond shape knee pads, and then into the boot. So, let me try and make my thoughts clear. On the look, on the appearance alone, I go to the original Batman. It is the look that I remember most, and although it is quite crude in design, if you then compare it to something like a Batman Begins, which is again very animal looking but a lot more sleeker than this one. But I don't know, I've always had a soft spot for the original Batman outfit. If I talk about the actual suit on this figure, then it's very, very simple. This one is so much better done. The feel of the material, it feels more like a soft silicone than a crude rubber like this one does. It restricts the movement less. Even the sort of under the outfit, it sort of has a squidgy bodysuit, which probably stops the body damaging the outfit. Even down through the arms, down through the legs, it just works with you better. And I don't know, it definitely feels more like a silicone than a rubber than this one. But like I say, on looks alone, I'd pick this one. But if you had to say which is the best suit on them, I would definitely give it to the Batman Returns. Just a lot cleaner looking, moves better manufactured, I would say. But like I say, I still have a soft spot for the original Batman outfit. Moving down to the boots. Again, talking about the original version, we know they're sculpted on a pair of Nike, so you do still get that accurate look about the foot section, and it is all one-piece sculpt. But then the really crude looking shin guard, nice sculpt I suppose, but this set of boots sort of shows its age a little bit, I think. Bear in mind what I said about the ankle pegs not pushed right down in those, but I will do that in a minute because I want to talk about his height. Whereas on the Batman Returns boot, the foot section is a Nike Air Jordan 6 customised into a full boot, and then with a shin guard put over it. I really like the design of the shin guard on that, even with the Batman symbol just in front of the ankle section and then moving up. Just looks a lot cleaner, a lot nicer. Just prefer the design on the Batman Returns boot. Just looks a little bit more classy to me. Right, moving on to gloves or gauntlets. As you can see on the figure, I've got the set that would like clutch his cape or the smaller items, like so. I'll talk about the gauntlet section in a minute. So yeah, and then looking down here, pretty much just a re-sculpt. Well, the same sculpt recast. You got the fists, got the open hand and the gripping hand, the relaxed hands, and then this hand which holds onto the zip line. So pretty much the same. Only major difference, the studs on the original hands. That's the only major difference. So I take either or on that. Where the difference is for me, the gauntlet on these looks pretty good because it's got this shielded section on the outer arm, but the spikes always fell out on this. The little one on this side and the little one on that. Where this one, possibly because I've only just got it, there's not as much detail, but the spikes aren't falling out. So a cleaner looking gauntlet on this, a better looking gauntlet, although the fault is the spikes keep falling out. You do get replacement spikes, but it just pisses me off every time it does it. So there is that. On the gloves and thing, either, you pick. There's not that much difference that I can really fucking talk about other than the stud design, which makes them both pretty accurate, I think. Right, moving on to another important category, I think, and it's the body. Now for this, I have just dropped the original version back down, so the ankle pegs are now inside the boot, so it stands as it is. To be honest, it's not a massive difference, although the Returns is slightly taller, so that's neither here nor there really. Like I said, I do prefer to pull the pegs out and just have them sitting in the boots because he looks a little bit more menacing when he's outside of the Joker that I'm posing with. Now, the scale is one of the things that I really like about this one. It seems a lot more imposing. When you've got it set up and you can get a cape, something like nice draped on it, and obviously with the scowling eyes more, it looks fucking badass, to be honest. It looks really seriously badass. And I mean, like, he wants to kick some fucking ass, that sort of thing. So the scale of the body used on this one and how it stands, the proportions are just a lot more attractive to me than this one. Now, when I also bring into account the articulation, it's a fucking non-starter. This one is just a lot better body. The ratchet elbows just will, let me get them some of that. The ratchet elbows will do what I want them to do. Same with the ratchet legs. Fucking hell, this is hard to do left-handed. So we'll hold this one. Bear in mind it is an older figure as well. Put it into a position. See you later. But watch. Ta-ta. nowhere fucking near holding it. This one, just a lot better body underneath, a lot stronger. Like I said, the suit works with this one better than this one does. This one's arms now, they pretty much got to a thing where, unless I could strip it down and tighten it up, it is. And to be honest, even from the start, it never held the elbow pose very well. It's quite strong around the shoulders, so it will do an arms open and spread. So have the cape, to have the wings open, or the cape to look like wings, should I say. It does do that really well, but the elbows and knees on this are dog shit compared to this one. This is better in that category. In fact, throughout the whole figure, the categories are really, my choices are very, could go either way on a lot of them. Body wise is the biggest difference. The Batman Returns is just, I don't know, 10 times better body than the original one were. Moving down to the stand, and like I said at the beginning, the original Batman was a DX figure, the new one is just an MMS, although I think since they did away with the DX, they started introducing the movable eyes onto other figures, same with these style square bases with the lights on the front corner, so it is pretty much a DX base anyway, if you're old school in Hot Toys like I am. So it pretty much comes down to which design do I like better, and that's again really easy. The Batman Returns just looks nicer. I think they've done better work. This one's borderline cheesy, to be honest. This one just looks a little bit more classy, although it is pretty much just the same stand, but I would pick the Batman Returns one. Right, final category, and then I'll sum it up. We'll talk about the accessories. So like I said, the original with the DX set, so pretty much you got everything there to those hands. The other one's not supposed to be a DX set, but you still get all that. So we know it's a new style DX set. We know that. It just doesn't say it on the box. So, what do we get? So, you got the figure, the base, the two poles that go in the front section of his cape to do the spread winged with a cape, wrist pegs, spare fins for his gauntlet, and inside there's the rope that attaches to the batarang. The sort of gauntlet launcher for the zip line, this detonator charge here, the grapple gun, the two face plates, smoke bombs, this that clips onto the belt and will hold part of the grapple gun, the shurikens, which there's two of, the batcom, and then this which shoots out the front of the glove when he's fighting the guy in the church at the end, and then this set of hands, 8 total with the hands. This set brings, again, the figure, the stand, 9 hands total this time, bat intercom, detonator, these, I don't know what the fuck these gold things are, some kind of targeted throwing stars I think, but I could be wrong. Moving down, grapple gun, batarang, grappling hooks which will fit onto the zip line, spare wrist pegs, and then the tool for pushing, moving the eyes and for pushing the faceplate out, and then the zip line launcher. So again, pretty much similar stuff. I think if I had to lean one way or another, I would go for the original, simply because you get this more deluxe version of the zip line launcher, that compared to that. Again, the interchangeable face plates I prefer on this one, and I do like the device to sort of open his cape up wide. So if I had to lean one way, I would go with the original Batman. But the Batman Returns is no slouch either. So that pretty much sums the figures up in every category. I'm going to tell you my thoughts, and then I'm going to go to my phone, see what the comments say on Facebook, and then I'll start reading through those. What I'm going to say is this, and this was just a bit of fun, just because I think people would say, oh, well, how does this compare to that, and what do you think of this, and which would you buy, so on and so forth. Right, if you're asking me which is the best engineered figure, if they were released together, which one is the better figure? Sort of, your money is buying the better figure. Taking away which film it came from and what my preference were, the better figure is this one. Because all the important characteristics are there. The better body, the better engineered suit, the fact it's newer, it's a lot cleaner looking. So it is that, the way the eyes work, even the way the faceplate pushes off the mask. This is the better figure. Which would I own? Knowing what I know, I've got to stay with this one, because it just comes down to the fact that I prefer this film. Firstly, I think this is the quintessential representation of Michael Keaton, and although it has got its faults, its fucking arms basically don't do out, the figures, the outfit's crude looking, I prefer a lot of the parts on the Batman Returns. This is still the one that catches my eye, so that is the way I would go. As regards to the cost, I think this one's about 190 from a UK seller. This one you could pick one up in a Facebook group for about 210, 220, I'm thinking. Which would I have? I think you'd be happy with either, so I'm going to say buy the one that you like best. I really hope the price holds on the original Batman, but like I say, if you do want a representation of the Michael Keaton Batman, either is a really good figure. So, I'll get this packed away and we'll have a read, see if I can answer some of the questions that you guys have left me. Right, let's finish off like this. I might have a bit of fun with this, I might just answer questions, I don't know. Right, so I posted an hour ago in the 1/6 scale views and reviews group exclusive. I'm just about to start filming a comparison video on these two guys. In case I don't cover a particular point, do you guys have any questions? I'll read them at the end of the video. And then I posted a few pictures, and then I also came back and said, and just so you know, they'll both be wearing the stock cape and then the original pose when I started filming. So, Wayne Stewart asks, obviously the stock capes are a load of crap and people are best to go to a Tony May cape. But if you had to choose from either 89 cape or Returns cape, which one would it be? Like I said, I did pick up on this. For me, because I don't mind tinkering and folding and futzing, I think this one, if you could just strip that down to one ply and just use this outer leather, even with a wire running through it, I think you've got the nicer cape. This one, like I said, doesn't have a wire at the front and just is a little bit thicker, although it's single ply, not two ply, that one. So if I had to choose, I would go the 89 version. But I agree, for if you're just a sort of collector who wants to open your Batman, put a cape on it, throw it in your collection, just pose it up, get it looking natural, have a nice easy drape that's you're not going to have to mess about with. Definitely take a Tony May cape if you can get one. Right, so Jason Lee. Yeah, I got one. If they both come out at the same time, which would you go for? But bear in mind, let's just say you have to get a cape for both of them. So don't let that rule your answer. So I'm just talking about the figure itself. So you're looking, I have covered everything basically he's asked me there. Like I've just said at the end, I still would take the original one just because it's the representation that I think facially is the best and is from the film that I prefer. If I'm thinking dynamic poses, I want to get fucking mental, I've got to go to that one because this one won't do it. So I hope that answers that. Chris Vargas Yap. I wonder if that's a real name. Is there any difference of the type of rubber they used on the suit? Yeah, I've picked up on this, and let me just lead you into my private life. This one feels like a car tyre. It's really crude rubber feeling, particularly on the front, not so much down the sides. So if you think of like stroking side wall of your car tyre, that's pretty much what touching that feels like. Now, if you've got like one of them silicone or like latex sort of, not latex, them silicone versions or a fucking vibrator or dildo or something like that. So basically you know what I'm using on my missus. And it has that real feel skin, that is more like what this one is. So that's, I'm sorry, and particularly if Hot Toys are watching, because I've just compared the new Batman to a fucking 12-inch vibrator. So yeah, but that is what that one feels like compared to the more crude feel in that one. So I don't know which will stand the test of time because I've had that one ages and that one's doing fine. I've only just got this one. So I've tried to answer that. Nikolai Berg. Best overall value. Well, like I said, I think the original goes for a little bit more money. I still think I paid about $200 for it on release anyway, and then it's $190 for a for a Batman Returns. Best overall value. Fucking hell. I think this one would be. There is a little bit of price difference in them at the moment, and this price did shoot right up, but has then come back down. I think that this one will always hold its price better than this one, simply because I think that the diehard Batman fans or somebody new to collecting would want the original more than the Returns. I could be wrong, that's just opinion on that. Darren Biggie Rowe. In all the pics I've seen, the Returns looks taller. Is it just me, or is there actually a height difference? And also, how is the articulation compared to the 89? I've just covered this, but I'll quickly say it again. The Returns is slightly taller, a lot more menacing looking. It was just a case that I'd not clicked in the ankle joints. The articulation is just a lot better on the new one. So just breeze over that one because I have answered it already. Tom Django. Which one is better for dynamic posers? Very simple. That is the Batman Returns. Simply because the body underneath is better. The ratchet joints, it holds the pose better, and the suit doesn't fight against it as much as the other one. Michael Welsh. If you had to display one in your case right out the box, which would you choose? The original, like I've said, I've mentioned it a few times now. Yeah, definitely would be the original. That would be the one. If I had to sell one now, put it this way, if I had to sell one now, I'd find it harder to part with that one than that one. So I'll just state it like that. Right. Ken Carpenter. Are the mouthpieces interchangeable between the two figures? No, they are not. And Peter Wayne's getting all involved and saying nope. And he's right, they're not interchangeable. I think they would be customizable and then be able to do it, but not right out of box. Matthew Lamb. What Cowl? What Cowl looks better? I think he means Cowl. Definitely the better Cowl, I think, is the Returns. I've stated that. But, again, I prefer that one. No, I don't. That's bullshit. I prefer that Cowl, but I prefer that face underneath it. So, moving on. Alano Ribeiro Bezerra. I hope I've pronounced that right. Are two figures very beautiful? I love them both. But in my opinion, Batman Returns is the best. Well, that's not a question, so that's what this character says. Rolling on. David Upton, you'll probably do this anyway, but I'm interested to see how the suits rock up around the body as you pose them, particularly around the abs section, and which parts are interchangeable. I think gloves and boots would be interchangeable. Capes would be interchangeable, obviously. The gauntlet section would be interchangeable, possibly the belt. I'm not going to start fucking about and doing it, but that is what I would guess. Now, the rucking up of the suit, because of how that is, if I were to crunch it, frame, you don't notice any ruck up there, because it's a thicker, like more stodgy suit. This one, because they've kept it quite, look, on this one, because it's quite thin there, and you crunch it, then the suit looks a little bit unsightly. In fact, it looks very unsightly. So upright is better. So yeah, the movement of the suit, or to stop that ugly crease up, you would need that one. Right. David Boys, which is the best? That's what I've tried to explain, so I can't really go. Like I said, Returns is the best, but Original is the one I would want. This may sound a stupid question, but can you put the 89 faceplate on the Returns head? No, I've just covered that. Michael Bonilla. I've managed to survive 36 years on this earth without using aftershave. Is there something wrong with me? Yeah, you're a fucking woman. What the fuck has that got to do with Batman? Without using aftershave. If you want to smell like a fucking tramp sock, then you just wear fucking whatever you want, pal. I like a bit of aftershave on my foss. So that answers that. I think that's end of him. Like I say, it's only took me about an hour to do this little selection of parts. I hope I've answered all the questions you want. Thanks for watching my videos again, guys. For now, we're out of here.